Have you ever wanted to get away from the office for a few days, but didn't know where to go? If so, the answer might have been Venezuela. Venezuela is a beautiful travel destination, and after doing some research on the country and its people, I have gathered some helpful information for your next trip there. Today we will be talking about the cultural differences, a few vacation spots, and some general travel guidelines for Venezuela. The first thing you want to know about when you travel to a foreign country is what to expect of the people who live there. While the cultures of Venezuela and the United States are very similar, there are some key differences. One such difference is in gestures. Culture Crossing states that one of these gestures is the OK sign. While the OK sign is seen as acceptable in the United States, it is seen as very offensive or rude in Venezuela. This is one example of how gestures can have different meanings in different cultures, and also goes to show that you should be wary before using a gesture if you don't know its true meaning in the location that you are at. Another difference between the cultures of the United States and Venezuela is greetings between close friends and family, as well as conversations themselves. Nag explains that greetings between close friends and families, when initiated by a woman, typically include a kiss to each cheek. When a man initiates the conversation, it can be a handshake or a hug, but this is only for close friends or family. If you are meeting someone for the first time or meeting up with someone you are not very familiar with, a simple handshake will do. Now that you know a little bit about the people there, it's time to look at some of the places you might go. There are a few travel destinations in Venezuela, with one of them being Canema National Park. Law lists Canema National Park as number 5 in her list of the top 11 places to visit in Venezuela. Law states that it is usually associated with Angel Falls, but that is only a small area of the large and diverse park. Law states that a trip through the park is a unique experience and it does not have to be paired with a trip through Angel Falls. A picture of Angel Falls, which is located in Canema National Park, can be seen right here. And with Angel Falls, a few trees and water in the foreground. Law also mentions La Gran Sabana. Law states that there are over 100 tabletop mountains which rise more than 1,000 meters above the savannas. Law also states that one highlight of the park is swimming in the base of the waterfalls that are located throughout the park. Another popular spot is Margarita Island. Law mentions that this island is number 3 in her list. Law states that the island is a major tourist destination for sun seekers, and not only is the island on Law's list, but I also know many people who have visited the island, all of whom cannot wait to go back and express their true joy on their trip. Law states that many charter flights fly directly to Margarita Island from a variety of international destinations. Some places in Venezuela may not have flights directly to them, so this is one benefit of visiting Margarita Islands. And the other benefit is instead of flying to a city like some of the islands in Venezuela and then having to hop on a boat to go to another island and so on and so forth and taking such a long roundabout trip that's going to take up your whole day, with Margarita Island, you can go straight to the island and have more time for your actual vacation. Now that you know a little bit about the people and the places you might go, it's time to talk about a few general guidelines for traveling within Venezuela. Remember to plan a budget for your trip. Venezuela Travel Guide mentions accommodations being a part of your budget. Remember to secure accommodations before your trip. You do not want to get to your destination and not be able to find a place to stay. Venezuela Travel Guide mentions that there are varying price ranges for the hotels, with the cheapest of these price ranges including private rooms that also include Wi-Fi, and these rooms also go up in price and include more in the hotel with the higher price you pay. Venezuela Travel Guide mentions that food varies in price from place to place, and this is very similar to dining in the United States, where there are street food vendors all the way up to high-end dining. Venezuela Travel Guide also mentions some of the more convenient ways of transportation to and from Venezuela. To get to Venezuela, one of the most convenient ways is going to be by plane. This is going to be faster and just more enjoyable overall than driving through the multiple border checks from the United States to Venezuela, or than taking a boat. And once you are in Venezuela, one of the main forms of transportation that is recommended by the Venezuela Travel Guide is taxi. The Venezuela Travel Guide says that taxis are going to be very crucial for your transportation, as there are many of them, and it's much easier than renting a car, and there are no realistic train options while in Venezuela. Now that you know the basics for traveling to Venezuela, let's quickly go over them again. Remember that there are cultural differences between the United States and Venezuela, including the gestures that are considered acceptable and rude. There are many vacation spots in Venezuela, including Margarita Island. Don't forget to think about budgeting and transportation before your trip, and maybe get some practice hailing taxi cabs. But the next time you want to get away from the office for a couple of days, don't forget Venezuela as an option.